Market update, the God Candle market update. How to get ready for a God Candle in 48 hours. That is what we are going to talk about today. I am your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Check out my Patreon in the link down below. The Patreon is the sponsor of the show, patreon.com/unhinged crypto. I am going to be putting together what I will call a melt up portfolio, meaning if the market melts up sometime between now and the end of the year, what I would call thematic portfolio will be best. My Patreon readers have been reading about some of the coins that we will talk about today and why, and I will expand that list in a week to come. Okay, let's welcome who's here and dive into the news. We have Kim Craig, Tycoon. Producer dropped the link to the Patreon in there. Come on in. Okay, great filibuster. Salute to you. Trisha joined. Thank you. Jason, Jay, Big Rich, Bull Runner. Right? Zach Blackstone, let's go. Q-Boyd is here. Pancakes and peanut butter in the house. This wait is making me thirsty. Folks, I got 3 words for you. Real assets on the blockchain. Okay? Real assets on the blockchain. I got something to tell you, and if you're looking for an altcoin, I got one from a group that I'm affiliated with that may have finally found the answer to how to get water trading in crypto. Okay? Richard Barry first on the stream, and Kim Craig probably working the night shift. Kim, let's get you off the night shift. Let's get everybody going. Let's get everybody on the market update and in Patreon. Okay. Now, again, this show is brought to you by Blue Arctic. Token release coming on Thursday. More on that later. What to do about disinformation? So the right and the left both look at each other and say, you're lying. Now, I have a side that I'm partial to, okay? But you may think differently. But here's something that we can agree on. Price is truth. Now, sometimes price is overvalued, sometimes price is undervalued, but price for the day that bulls meet bears, and that's where it stops. That is the truth. You don't like what's going on in the world? Fantastic. You know what the solution to that is? The green button. Give them a number that makes them sit back in their chair and say, you know what? We're tired of this. We're tired of you. Also, we're tired of the legacy market hogging all the spotlight as it comes to AI and the future of technology. Speaking of the future of technology, looky, Web 2 gets caught acting like sort of thugs regarding their app store. Is there an alternative to the Google and Apple App Store? Wait, I think it's the Solana phone. You know, the one that just sold out? Yeah, it was because of a meme coin airdrop, but the Web3 phone is out there. Oh, look, and these guys are busted. That's a nice, bullish, perfect storm. We'll talk more about bullish, perfect storms and hopefully how I learned that at this stage of a bull market, you want to basically put all your eggs in one basket. And as Stan Druckenmiller used to say, watch that basket closely. So Stan Druckenmiller used to say, diversification is bunk. You want to be a pig. Radical notion. Probably not a good idea to espouse it on crypto YouTube because it's not an excuse to abandon risk management. But if it's working, Stan says stay with it. And if you can find a handful of things that work, well, do it. Don't diversify for the sake of doing it. Now, of course, in crypto, you don't diversify the way you do in equities. But the way Stan Druckenmiller thought about markets is the way you want to think about this market. You want to think about high conviction because these guys are on the run. Why? Top Federal Reserve officials try to dampen expectations of imminent interest rate cuts. So let's take a brief moment to discuss the Federal Reserve. They're not happy with inflation. Then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, guys, Merry Christmas. We're doing 3 rate cuts next year. Oh, wait, just kidding. We didn't want to start a speculative frenzy. What? What are these guys doing and why are they doing it? Okay, so let's simplify. Crypto is in a perfect sweet spot. There are no more hikes. There's no more hawkish yip yap, and there's no disaster requiring a rate cut. A rate cut itself is not bullish. Hope of a rate cut, bullish. Okay? Hope of a rate cut, bullish. Now, why did the Fed flip-flop? No one is talking about this. Why did Powell all of a sudden go, whoop, flip-flop? 2 reasons. One, the U.S. government cannot pay the interest on the debt at 4%, never mind 5%. So Janet called up Jay and explained to him that in an election year, we could use a little help. That's it. And it was rather dire, given the situation that the administration is in. Number 2, the Chinese picked up the phone and called Jerome Powell and said, Jerome, this little tightening spree that you've been on, yeah, well, we haven't really appreciated it. And we're having such problems with capital markets that if you don't knock it off with the hawkish rhetoric and our system caved, our whole financial system, stocks, bonds, real estate, right? They have been humiliated, right? And they may have told us to knock it off because they're going to have to print so much money. They're going to have to print enough money to buy the whole commercial real estate sector in China. They're going to have to take every bad loan and asset off the private sector books and put it in the People's Bank of China. That's how much money they got to print. Now, can you imagine when that liquidity is unleashed, how much crypto is going to be able to be purchased out of Hong Kong? So the Fed backs off, creates a speculative bubble. And the reason that they backed off is because the Chinese are going to flood the market with a tidal wave of money. Nothing that has been seen yet because their whole system could crater. So remember back in June, you may not remember, it was like the YouTube thing of the week. Oh, everybody in Hong Kong is going to buy Bitcoin. And it didn't really go anywhere. Now it's like people do not realize the macro implications of this, just like I didn't realize the macro implications of QE back in 2009, 2010, and 2011. That Wall Street war story in a sort of more frank and blunt version of the market update is available. Guess where? In Patreon. Check out that Wall Street war story. Let's put it this way. I don't want you to make the same mistake that I did. I don't. Now, the economic year ahead will not be binary. In other words, recession, not recession. Inflation, not inflation. Rate cuts, no rate cuts. You know what? Whatever the general public or the news media, really the CNBC news media and the media in general, not the general public, but whatever everyone sort of consumes is never the right thing to think about. It isn't, right? This year was AI and all this stuff. Okay. But this whole recession and all this macro talk is wrong. The macro talk for 2024 is huge moves in the foreign exchange, as in the currency market. There's a case for the yen to go massively higher. There's a case for the dollar to go massively lower. We don't know what the deal is with the Chinese currency yet. That there could be huge volatility there. And of course, there's Bitcoin versus the dollar. The money in 2024 is in the foreign exchange market, which includes crypto. Just so you know, the foreign exchange market turns over $14 trillion a day. It's probably a good grok question. Total crypto market cap is what? 3 trillion, 2 trillion, whatever. It's nothing. Nothing. It's like a rowboat in an ocean. So when that ocean and that dollar and that yen and these things start to take place, the effect that it can have on crypto is absolutely unbelievable. And no one's talking about it. The Fed should resist market bullying. The central bank is facing pressure to take an even more dovish stance. Authored by the head of PIMCO. Okay, so is the market pressuring Powell, or did he get a phone call? And you know how you know that Powell probably got a phone call is because Bitcoin doesn't budge. Like, yes, Bitcoin might go down and everyone's looking for 38K, whatever. In other words, in a world of conviction, in a world where you actually wait for it to go down, which it could do in the next 2 days, right? If it goes down in the next 2 days and it holds or they can't really push it, then a God candle is imminent. It's imminent. Investors ditch the notion of interest rates will stay higher for longer. An important news bulletin here. Interest rates higher for longer, and I'm going to sit in a 5% treasury bill and laugh at all you guys, was the consensus, I don't know, 2 months ago, right before every altcoin 10x'd, along with big caps doing anywhere from a 1 to 3x. Everyone's sitting in cash, and now everyone's like, you know, maybe that's not the right strategy. And when everyone wakes up and goes to buy Bitcoin, it's probably going to be at 57 before people really wake up, because now they're just coming around to the reason why Jerome Powell did what he did. Meanwhile, bankruptcies soar, right? Amazon's going to put most retailers out of business this Christmas, and high rates are going to have a huge impact and create corporate bankruptcies. It's inevitable. This may create disturbances in capital markets. These are the wild cards, along with social disorder, that people are not thinking about. These things will create an overall bullish environment for crypto, but you got to make money before the events happen, right? They're going to happen, so you got to make the money now, which is why we're having the God candle talk today, right? What is the purpose of the market update? Yes, we want to update you on what's happening, but we want to give you news and give you charts so you can get ready for the next thing. And I think it's God candles in certain big altcoins. We'll go into it more. Okay. So Elon recently put this guy back on Twitter, and, he thinks that there are submarines that could, hurt the United States in the event that we're stupid. Okay. And there's a lot of people that really want to start trouble with that particular country. Why? Because they want to keep us divided. And crypto is the unifying truth. In other words, if I'm in crypto and you're in crypto, we're friends. We're brothers and sisters if we're really in crypto. At least that's the way it was when I first started, and it should freaking stay that way. Elon Musk being investigated by the European Union for hate speech and fake news. Wow. Every time they do this, they just make this guy a bigger hero. This guy is being stapled to the wall. Meanwhile, Meta's stock trades at its all-time high. and they got caught doing some really nasty stuff, or got caught allowing really nasty stuff. Okay. Crypto Super PAC goes into 2024 with more than $75 million to influence the election. Guess what, people? There is going to be rhetoric on the tape from pretty much every politician, I think, that's going to be pro-crypto, at least in the beginning. Now, once they get in the White House, but everybody's going to want to take their shot at Jerome Powell, and everyone's going to want to take their shot at the fact that the dollar has lost purchasing power. I like this. So all the 2024 prognostication is coming out. What prediction markets are forecasting for crypto? What projects will do airdrops? Okay, that's a good thing to locate. Will Kraken go public? Will OpenSea launch a token? Okay, how about this? Will every big cryptocurrency go back to its 2021 high in dramatic fashion? That's like the question that no one is asking here. I like this. How a big, messy crypto cleanup could pave the way for a more regulated, mature market. Hey, everybody, listen. The messy cleanup has already happened. It was called the FTX system-wide margin call, where all of crypto was forcibly liquidated and then artificially suppressed by a tightening cycle. The purge has already happened. We're at the rally part of puke and rally. We did all that stuff, and now it's time to unwind it all. Because all it was men behaving badly and central banks jamming on the brakes. It had absolutely nothing to do with the value of crypto. Now, add that to the Solana phone is sold out. Add that to the theory of Stan Druckenmiller, where, when you get a bull market of this magnitude, you find what works. You get in my Patreon and you get the melt up portfolio coming out this week. And you say to yourself, what can I hold on to that just goes and goes and goes? We'll talk more about it once we get to the charts. Little social disorder here. As student loan collections restart, millions are not yet paying. Is that because they can't pay? Is that because they don't want to pay? Or is it both? In other words, is this the Boston Tea Party? Take your student loan debt with your high interest rates and shove it. Right? In other words, these people are not going to pay, and it's basically $1 trillion. It's $1 trillion default in progress. And you wonder why the Fed has to back off. This is why the Fed has to back off. This is why the dollar is in serious trouble. This is why crypto should go up massively. Now, I get that the whole talk is about meme coins, but what the meme coins are doing is they're incentivizing you to go on to these other networks, right? To get over to Solana, to get over to Phantom, to get over to Avalanche, to get over to these places. I like this. Ecuador pledges to repay its debt despite liquidity crunch. Okay. Ecuador wants to be able to return to the foreign debt markets. You know what a genius this guy's going to look like at 80K Bitcoin? By the way, just so you know, they only published this for one day. Just in case you think Bitcoin is too high, Ecuador is now back to its average price. In other words, to Ecuador, we're at square one. It's back to where we bought it. It's not expensive. It's like back to normal. So if Ecuador bought it at 42, what stops other places from buying it at 42? Like, what do you think is going to happen when the guy from Argentina decides to get in the game? No one's talking about that. Crypto analysts forecast monumental Bitcoin rally by 2026. Hey, bro, how about we do it all in a couple of months? How about like we go to like 86, which is God candle this whole thing, like right at the end of the year, like after everyone's done with the tax law selling or whatever market, gymnastics have to occur. Why don't we just have a happy new year and just God candle the whole thing all at once? What are we waiting for? Right? I mean, the Fed just told you. It's not like we have to like guess. I like this. Crypto analyst warns of possible Bitcoin downturn. The next stop is 38K on a sustained break. People, let me tell you something. There's going to come a day in crypto where we're going to look back at all these little articles that are like 38.1K is resistance or support, and 42.2K is blah, 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 blah. Anybody who pushes it down to 38K, the seller is actually the buyer. He's just trying to push it down to get your Bitcoin. Can he do that? Can they do that? I don't know. Maybe Gensler comes out with some statement that says we're not doing the Bitcoin ETF. I don't know. Whatever stunt that they pull, the big guys will be down there. And you know what? If it's supposed to go to 38 and it doesn't go to 38, then the God candle portfolio is going, that's just it. Everything is just going to God candle because nobody is paying attention to how undervalued crypto is. Nobody is paying attention to the amount of liquidity coming into the system. And frankly, no one has been through an era where it has just paid to be like permalong. I mean, yes, in the 2020 bull market, there was a huge incentive to stay long at a point. But a lot of times you would get brutally flushed out, right? And of course, that happens. That's crypto. That happens a lot. In this particular case, because of the value proposition of crypto, the Solana phone, and the Fed giving you license to speculate, the God candle idea invalidates this TA minutia thinking. In other words, I don't want to say throw out the chart, but I'm going to say throw out the chart. Where was it in April when Celsius started, and what's the all-time high? If you don't know anything about crypto, if this is like something you're tuning into and you've stayed on for 30 minutes and you're like, well, I don't understand. You mean the Fed says it's going to go up? China is going to, a lot of people in Hong Kong are going to buy, but I don't know how to read the chart. And all I have to know is where it was in April and where it was at the high and where it is now. And I should make decisions off that. Yes, that is what I'm telling you. Bitcoin faces fund outflows for first time in months. Solana leads weekly inflows. Again, more minutia, right? In other words, digital asset investment products saw 33 million outflows. Who cares? $30 trillion in assets is going to get exposure to, is going to need to get exposure to Bitcoin, right? Small portfolio houses, I'm going to talk about it, are recommending to clients having 20% of their money invested in Bitcoin. And these Bitcoin ETFs are out there. And if they're not, there's MicroStrategy. Will spot Bitcoin ETF approval be a boon, or will it be a sell the fact event? Everybody weighs in. Okay, any introduction to any new ETF has always been sell the fact. That may be the case. I don't know. But again, it's not here yet. And everyone's talking about sell the fact, right? Sell the fact of the fact that's not the fact yet. Why is everyone distracted? We should be talking about catching a God candle in multiple big altcoins, possibly including Bitcoin at the end of the month. SEC delays Grayscale Ethereum ETFs. Well, guess what, folks? There's something in the equity market called ETHE. And you know what? If people in the stock market miss Solana and maybe Bitcoin ramps, they go, what can we get exposure to that's not up? Oh, Ethereum. I've heard of Ethereum. That's how stock market people think. Now you might be like, well, Ethereum has got problems, this and that. Stock market people don't care. They don't care. Just like, oh, how can I get long? Oh, it's up. Good. Because I like to buy high and sell higher. So everyone thinks ETH is dead as a cryptocurrency. That remains to be seen. ETH is not dead as a way for equity market people to get exposure. Because I believe there are also ETH futures contracts. UK introduces new regulation for its digital security sandbox. What? The UK government is endorsing security tokens? Huh. Nation's financial watchdog rules for supervising tokenized securities. Look at that. Real world assets on the blockchain, stocks, bond, real estate, water, commodities. Think about it. Avalanche users pay 13.8 million in fees for inscriptions over 5 days. Okay. So this appears to be because of a huge increase in network activity on Avalanche. Like if you miss Solana, here's a hint. We're going to be taking a look at Avalanche later on. Look at this. Crypto hiring. Blockchain.com about to expand its workforce by 25%. I could have sworn I did a news article about these guys laying people off not too long ago. Not too long ago. Revolt will temporarily pause UK crypto business due to FCA rules. And this one is kind of heartbreaking. Zcash founder steps down as CEO of their parent company. It's really a shame the guy could not make it work. Right? I mean, he could not make it work. And Zcash, a lot of people don't notice, but when it first came out, it was traded at $1,000 and now it's at $2,850. I liked it and it went nowhere. That doesn't mean I'm giving up on it. No, far from it. Privacy is a monster theme. Monster. And that's going to be like the bread and butter, I think, of my Patreon. So on the God Candle front, Solana phone sells out in the US. So there's a bonk airdrop on that. And all of a sudden, everybody wanted the Solana phone, which is powered by Helium Mobile, both of which are, Solana and Helium are both huge positions of multi-coin capital. So you can bet that as soon as Solana really starts going up here at the end of the year, they're going to push their position, which is exactly what I would do. In other words, if the guys who want to buy it can't push it down, the guys who own it are going to try to push it up, right? The haves are going to lean on the have-nots. Multicoin is a have when it comes to Solana. And on the private webinar, I did something, where I did a parallel between what ETH and Solana could do at a certain price. Okay. One day we will all look back on Gary Gensler and laugh. This entire year, all anybody talked about was Gary Gensler. That's all anybody talked about all year long. It was Gensler and XRP. Unfortunately, XRP went from being persecuted to going out into the desert. That's a biblical reference. I won't go into that, but I'm sure those people are hurting, right? Watching everything go up while they get left out. Meanwhile, this guy Gensler, he's going to go down in history as the little man that tried to stop crypto right before crypto exploded beyond what anybody could imagine at a rate nobody can imagine even now. Like no one is asking what happens if the big coins start acting like the little coins. Even the Bank of England is part of a shift to blockchain use cases. Oh, wait, look at this. Tokenized real world assets. Bank of England into tokenized real world assets. Well, now, what do you know? How about stocks, bonds, real estate, enhancing liquidity, water, right? A very precious commodity that there is a huge shortage of, that is like the least publicized climate issue. You'd never hear about water shortages except in the Blue Arctic Telegram group, where, we've got article after article, Mississippi River, Panama Canal, you name it. I like this. Bitcoin fund sees profit-taking dip, but investors still like Solana. Everyone's talking about like the minutia, the dip. Forget the dip. Forget the dip. Spot Bitcoin ETF will be bloodbath for crypto exchanges. See, don't you love this? Now, yes, Bitcoin going to like 250K could hurt the rest of crypto. It could, because Bitcoin could be a monster on the way up. However, there's plenty to do on crypto exchanges. They're trying to get everything from the Solana ecosystem. They got to get all of this Bitcoin ordinal stuff, all this stuff. Like, there's a whole Bitcoin like BRC20 universe happening, except it's incredibly difficult to trade. What do you think the centralized exchanges are going to do? Just sit around while that all happens? No, they're going to get all of that moved over to their exchanges. Anything that gets big on Solana, Avalanche, Phantom, or Bitcoin, the centralized exchanges are going to move it all over. They're going to move it all over, right? Bitcoin fees hit 20-month high as miners are making money like Bitcoin was at 69K. I mean, it's happening right in front of your eyes. The only thing that hasn't been reflected yet is price. Price does not yet reflect how bullish people are. Why? Because people are bullish, but not long. And here's one of the reasons why, right? Warren's surveillance legislation is tailor-made to help big banks. Wow, shocking. A member of Congress trying to organize markets in favor of big banks. Hey, people, want to tell the big banks and the senator where to go with whatever they want to do? Yeah, it's called the green button. You only get to vote every 2 or 4 years. The green button on red days works pretty good, if you ask me. So if you get some red days, you're winding up for the God candle. And if there is no red days in like the next 48 hours, you may get a God candle, right? Bitcoin may sit still while the rest of the market just goes wild. And if that's not the case, then it's going to be a New Year's Eve party all around. And when I pull out like the Solana and the Avalanche charts, you're going to know why I'm talking God candles. You're going to know why. I like this. I'm ending with my favorite. 2023 was the year that the crypto markets became institutionalized. So we don't have an ETF approval yet. Basically, what I remember happening in 2023 was nobody believing the rally. Everybody worried about Gensler, right? It was Gensler every day on YouTube. It was Gensler, XRP, Gensler. Everybody forgot about Solana. Everybody forgot about all these big projects. Everybody forgot about Bitcoin as money. It was all about, the Fed's tightening. Oh my God, blah. No. Okay. 2023 may have been the year that the institutions say they're coming to crypto, but did they actually buy yet? Did they? They say they did. They say they want to be in. You want to be in, but are they long? Are you? It's not investment advice. It's a legitimate question. People can be as bullish as they want to be, but are they long? And if they are they long the right stuff? The best trade is the toughest trade, and we'll get to more of that in a second. Okay, now let's welcome and see who we got on the stream here. Pancakes and peanut butter liking the show tonight. Raj is here. Steve, Okay. FD's telling people to stay locked in, right on. Okay. Maybe a Band-Aid is here. Welcome. 0x Investor. Mint Layer from Robert. Welcome. Okay. Indie Rock, right? The Vessel of Truth. We appreciate you. Robert's looking forward to that water token. Jam is here. Nickeled, right? Welcome. Okay. Manic is here. Nice to see some old faces, some old names, and some new ones. I appreciate every single one. Steve, reminding you to hit the like button. Ash Column, BitBoy Al, welcome. Derek James Lambo joined. Welcome. Sugar Shane in the house joined. Welcome. Patreon. I appreciate that. Okay. Kim Craig says USDT freezing wallets as government attempts to take control. You know, Kim, as usual, great point. Okay. Great point. Okay. I'll put Kim up here. Okay. So who is behind Ledger? Ledger, right? We have Ledger and problems with Tether. So who's got the capability to crack into every ledger? Huh. Does that sound like a government to you? Maybe. All of a sudden, everybody's ledger, everyone wants to, every, hardcore crypto person decides that they get spooked. Pretty nasty stuff, huh? They're trying to stop it, right? They're going to try every stupid, dirty trick. Now, you got to protect yourself. You got to have the right wallets. You got to have multiple hardware wallets. I got one from Mind Your Biz that he was talking about, some like I'll have to pull it out one day. Who's behind Ledger? Now, even if we don't have the answer to that, look at the timing on these things. Because me personally, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences when they release all kinds of different media personalities that, make us more divided, even if one side's got the truth and one doesn't. And I don't believe that it's a private sector actor trying to mess with everyone's ledger. I think they're trying to slow down a freight train, and that's why I think it's just going to God candle. Like you're going to have some of this stuff up 25% in one day. Just because people realize they're just going to go, oh my God. And when it hits people all at once, that's what could happen. Okay, PowerPoint, market update. Boom. Not investment advice. This show is brought to you by my Patreon. Jump in there, get in there. Videos, podcasts, special TA, upside targets from the DeMark system. Patreon.com/unhinged crypto. Support the channel, and I will take you through this cycle. Total crypto market cap without Bitcoin. There's a hidden pivot level at 713 billion. And look how they pound on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at them wick this thing down, right? Wick. Pound on it. Sell. Oh, we're out of ammo. Whoops. Oh, what? Oh, there's $100 billion in upside in total too. $100 billion in upside. I mean, where does that put Solana? Where does that put Avalanche? Where does that put ETH? Don't go anywhere. I'll tell you. Bitcoin mining stocks. Notice all these news articles. Oh, Bitcoin, this and that. Where are they going to get all this Bitcoin from? Where are they going to get it from? I don't care if they do the ETF or not. The whole world has to get long Bitcoin. I did a little short video. I think it's coming out in the morning going, what happens if Bitcoin has 1 billion users? What happens if everybody's got one sat on their cell phone? Like, where are they going to get all this Bitcoin from? Hut mining breaking out. after multiple, like this brutal fake out here that led to a new low. I mean, is anyone long this? Oh, by the way, did I mention stock market investors are going to be out looking for cheap technology plays? And they're just going to go, huh, look, this was at 22 and now it's at 11. Coinbase, yes, there is resistance at 152. Got to respect it. However, if it gets above 152, look at the way this thing went down. It went from 200 to 130 in 4 weeks. Everyone thinks Coinbase is no good. Huh, that's interesting. That's interesting because we're about to invent a whole new layer of technology. The ETH universe, the Solana universe, the Bitcoin ordinal universe, all this stuff is coming to exchanges. Not to mention what happens when they get the whole, like, Bitcoin ordinal NFT thing going. BRC20 tokens. Oh, really? No one's going to want to trade that stuff? Well, maybe it'll die by the time it gets to Coinbase, but people are acting like there's nothing to do on Coinbase. Solana's at 70. The high was 200, and it's supposed to be the sequel to ETH. ETH started at $8 and wound up at 4,000. Okay, that took years, but does it need to take years in this environment with a tidal wave of Chinese liquidity? Coinbase is dead, huh? Really? Marathon Digital breaking a fib speed resistance line at 16, approaching the July high from last year. So the whole world is bullish Bitcoin, and a Bitcoin miner hasn't even gotten above last year's high. Let me let that sit for like 1 or 2 Mississippis. Riot Platforms trying to take out 16. If it takes out 16, it can go to 24. Again, has not taken out last year's high, has not taken out the Celsius high. It has not. And look at the size of this base. Like this is Bitcoin related stocks, right? Portfolio managers are going to go, oh, wow. Okay, I can take some profits in AI and oh, look, I can roll into these crypto equities that no one's paying attention to. MicroStrategy. Oh my God. Everyone's waiting for this gap at 520 to get filled. That sure would be nice, right? Sure would be nice. Sometimes patience pays off, but MicroStrategy is in this air pocket, right? It went from 900 to 350 in a matter of weeks. This is a $1,000 stock. And everyone's waiting. It's like, oh, it's at 562. I'm going to wait until it gets to 520 and then I'll buy. Okay, you might get 520. But if you don't get 520, it's going to go to 890. Because one of the predictions I have for next year is that this thing is going to trade independent of Bitcoin. This thing's going to be able to move on its own because this could be the NVIDIA of 2024. Right? If you start to have corporate bankruptcies or, you have anything that creates a little bit of an interruption in legacy, I don't know. Portfolio manager is going to go, why are we not massively long this? Galaxy Digital. Mike, are you out there? I'm talking your book, buddy. Crypto Investment Bank. Let me ask you something. When all these gigantic players have to buy Bitcoin, where are they going to get it from? What mechanism? What over-the-counter dealer? Where are they going to go to get it? Who's been investing in Web3 for probably the entire bear market? Who's been hoovering up Bitcoin like Michael Saylor, Mike Novogratz, who started Galaxy Digital when forming a crypto hedge fund was a joke several years ago? This is a Jesse Moore accumulation cylinder. Okay. Jesse Livermore was a technical analyst from the early 20th century. His trading diary became the first technical analysis textbook. And this little accumulation cone is a prelude to a parabolic. You basically bounce around in a cone that's got an upward slope to it and a widening mouth, and then boom. There's a gap in May at 13. Galaxy trades at 9, and the pre-Celsius high was 27. 27. As T-Bone, who, by the way, I want to thank him personally, Big Rich, and a lot of other guys for being out there on Twitter actually promoting my Patreon on their own. Gentlemen, I just want you to know that I appreciate that. Everybody who's doing it, ladies and gentlemen. So Galaxy Digital's at 9 and no one's interested. It's like, oh, wait, I got to take profits. Really? Okay, great. Because I'm going to take it to 27. Because that's what the Livermore theory says. Oh, look, GBTC, right? The Bitcoin Trust, the thing that's eventually going to get turned into an ETF. I don't know what these guys have. 600,000 Bitcoin or some crazy number. It's the Livermore accumulation cone. Do you think people in equities, people in crypto like, oh, it's the all-time high. Oh my God, when's Bitcoin going to go to the all-time high? If you showed this to a stock market person, the stock market person is going to go, well, real soon, bro, because we like to buy high and sell higher. And we're the NVIDIA cowboys. Wahoo. People in the stock market are just going to go, oh my God, let's get involved in this or some equivalent. Dow Jones Industrial Average, QQQ, Meta, all at its November 2022 highs. Bitcoin is 62% away from its all-time high, and we're sitting around going, oh, is it 41 or 38? People, who cares? What would Stan Druckenmiller do? Now, I know you don't know who that is, but you should look him up because he's a market wizard. This guy would just get long and stay long and just let it go. And that's what he did in equities. And I'm following in his footsteps for crypto. People want to take profits. Of course, you should pay yourself. You should buy yourself a holiday gift. If you got a 10X in a small altcoin, okay, well, take that money. But you may wind up getting a 2 or 3X in a big cap altcoin. Right? Like, don't go to the Christmas party and be underinvested, right? Rotate if you follow. Again, here's Meta back at its 2021 high. Google what the New Mexico Attorney General just found Instagram doing through an undercover investigation. And the stock is at 350, right? Bitcoin in September of 2022 was at like 16K. Meta was at 90. Kramer was literally in tears on the air because he liked Meta all the way down. And this thing is at its Nov 2021 high. This thing. Jordy Visser, who is probably going to become famous, right? I used to work with him. In equities, they have something called a 60-40 portfolio. 60 stocks, 60% stocks, 40% bonds. And there's a lot of math that says if you just sit in that, you'll do well. And over the last 2 years, you've gotten killed with this strategy. So Jordy wants to do 50, 30, 20 in the bottom left-hand corner. 50% cash, 30% traditional assets like stocks, and 20% Bitcoin. The 20% is my belief that Bitcoin should be 20% of people's portfolios. Now, this is a wealth management advisor. Can you imagine if every wealth manager, Bank of America, UBS, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab, what happens if an allocation to Bitcoin, which right now is like 1%, 0, or at most 5%, at most? What happens if 50, 30, 20 becomes the standard? 20% Bitcoin. Legacy putting their assets in Bitcoin, 20%. And of course, you know that it won't just be Bitcoin. Right? The tidal wave of money that's coming should drive your conviction, because I learned my lesson that's in the, private webinar market update, I learned my lesson about what a tidal wave of liquidity can do to change price action and charts. Okay, ETHE. Okay. Channel said Bill ran the most feared trading desk on Wall Street. Thank you for the promotion. I did not run it. I was their secret TA guy in kind of a compartment. So I did TA without much knowledge of what the rest of the research world inside that company was doing. But again, I appreciate the promotion. ETHE is Ethereum inside the stock market. Here's your, like, you know, your accumulation cone or triangle. You're breaking above resistance. You're going sideways. Maybe you're going to fill this gap. Maybe. The resistance is at 26. And oh, by the way, that's the March high in ETHE. So somebody in the stock market just goes, oh, well, I want exposure to both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Boom. And they start buying this. What, you don't think they will do it? You don't think stock market investors who are going to, like, you know, sell winners and buy, you know, sell winners and buy stuff that's down aren't going to look at this and go, wow, you know, the all-time high is 45 or 46. It's trading at 18. Like ETH takes out 2,500. I'm not going to tell you. It's in Patreon. Okay, this I'll give you. Okay, KMK joined. We appreciate you. And by the way, just as a point of information to all the customers of the Patreon group, I appreciate your business. To all the people who have joined and are in there for free, I appreciate your attention. And I hope to one day appreciate your business. Now, let's talk about business. Let's talk about Solana. There's two ways to look at Solana. Solana is at 74 and it's really expensive because it used to trade at 10, or Solana's high was 220 and it's now trading at 75. Let's pretend for a brief moment that Solana was ETH. Once upon a time, ETH traded at $8. It did. And a lot of people who bought it at $8 thought they were geniuses for selling it at 30. What happens if Solana becomes the linchpin to Web3 and all these people in legacy with a Coinbase account go, oh, wow, I can get in on this? Boink. And they hit the green button. Oh, is this the network that Bonk is on? Oh, Bonk and Solana. Oh, they have a phone? So in chart terms, you can see that the market is respecting the fact that there is a hidden pivot line at 74.50 in Solana. So they have banged on this level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times to knocking on the door. 9 days of banging on 750. What do you think is going to happen? Because Solana wouldn't back off. What do you think is going to happen when this gets through here? Oh, it's easy. You're going to have a God candle to 100 or 110. In other words, the level is 97.95, but it's going to overshoot that. You have an overshoot, and then you have an overshoot of the overshoot by the time it's over. You could have 2 God candles in Solana. 2. Because, like I said, everyone's like, oh, this is the future. Well, if it is, then why is everyone so price sensitive? Total 2 can go up by $100 billion. That we started the whole show with that. So Total 2 plus Jerome Powell plus Stan Druckenmiller plus yours truly plus my Patreon customers. This is like, let it go, man. Just jump in and let it ride. You got 2 days to get involved, I think. Because if Bitcoin doesn't go down much, or if the market doesn't correct, right, that means there's just no seller in the market. That's how you get a God candle, by the way. There's just no seller. In order to get a seller to come in, they're going to have to bid prices up 25 to 40% in order to get a seller to come in, because who wants to sell? Who wants to sell? What institution who just came in to buy is going to turn around and go, oh, wow, I made 20% on Avalanche. Well, it's not really the future. I just flipped it for the heck of it. No, that is absolutely not the case. Look at Bitcoin. Everyone's like, oh, you know, it's not good. It's going to go down. What happens if it gets above 42 again? Everyone's like, well, it can't get above 42, so I'm a little worried. Oh, okay. But the upside of it actually breaking above 42 is all this like blue sky over here, because all the diagonal resistance points will have been broken at that point. So, okay, yeah, there's a battle here at 42. But if there's no seller at 42, the next seller will be at, oh, wait, that target's in Patreon. Can't tell you that. Avalanche, DeMarc work. Let's see what we got here. This is Avalanche Weekly. And in DeMarc work, when you have a trend, it has two parts. It has the first part called setup. Okay, a setup will be when these little sets of conditions are present, like the high is higher than the high 2 days ago. DeMarc was one of the original quants. He was the original quant technical analyst. So the first part is setup. It goes 1 through 9. Somewhere around the 9, either before or after, there'll be some sort of pause in the trend. Avalanche actually paused 1 week early. And then the next phase starts. It's called countdown. And that gives you potentially 13 up candles. So Avalanche gets started with a boom here, 20 to 35. Everyone thinks, oh, I can't buy it. The dip should be either this week or next week. And then after that, just set up for a God candle. Just set up for an absolute God candle. It would be great for YouTube and Patreon probably if it God candled tomorrow. It'd be even better if you got 2 days heads up on getting involved. So in case the dimwits try to mark it down, you actually get a chance to grab it. This thing shows 10 up weeks in Avalanche as of now. Avalanche daily. Well, so we're into the countdown phase. Interesting, Avalanche goes all the way down and comes straight back, which is the same behavior you saw here, the same behavior you saw here. And every time they wick it up and take it down, they can't push it down. Every time they push it down, there's a buyer down there. Now, according to this, if Avalanche starts making new highs, you could have 4 big up days, right? You could have a 10, 11, a 12, and a 13. That's how countdown works. Now, what does 1 up day, 2 up day, 3 up day, 4 up days? When you get those 4 up days, if you get them in Avalanche, how big could it be? It's all over my YouTube channel and Patreon. I even gave it to the guys for free. I'll give you a hint. I did a video, Avalanche 140. No one looked at it. No one. Because they thought it was YouTube hyperbole. I did the video again. Some people looked at it. The value of these networks with the Solana phone has just changed. And I read you all these news articles about security tokens, which Avalanche is geared to run. So are we saying there's going to be no building on Avalanche for security tokens? Do you think the people who are going to do security tokens, these big banks, Coinbase is set up to custody security tokens? Do you think they care? Honestly, I mean, they don't want to pay $1,000 for Avalanche, but do you think to them there's a difference between 40 and 100 when they have to get involved because there's a liquidity problem inside of Legacy and they need these tokenized security assets, these real world assets on the blockchain? They're not doing it because they want to do it. They're doing it because they need to do it, right? They need to do it. So one of the things that talked about in the other webinar is what happens if you're a portfolio manager or even a central banker, who sits around and watches innovation and doesn't do anything about it. You go, oh, yeah, I don't need to get long that. I'll get long that later. And your competitor gets long now and it God candles. Then what are you going to do? When your investors come to see you and they say, hey, man, how come you weren't on this God candle? Or how come you don't own the assets to get security tokens running on our platform? What's there anything you can't? That doesn't work that way in institutions. Like in retail, if you miss a trade, okay, your buddy at the bar made money and you didn't, fine. You just find the next trade. Is it upsetting? Of course it's upsetting, right? But it's more upsetting in institutional world because it's upsetting and you can lose your job. You can lose your fund, right? You want to talk about FOMO? Like, okay, yes, we're used to Pepe and Bonk, right? But what happens if you take that kind of fire and you put it inside institutions and then you start connecting that? Bitcoin, Avalanche, Solana, who knows? Maybe like the Ethereum layer twos, you know, the Arbitrums, the Optimus, all these coins. No one's talking about it. Just like no one was talking about helium until the Solana phone went bonkers. Haha. Now, for a radical notion, this is not the correct symbol on this chart because like I'm too scared to even put it up there. So this is affiliated. This is a meme coin affiliated with a former public official. It looks like what I would call a series of ones and twos. Okay, so it goes up, it goes down. That's 1, 2. Then it goes up, then it goes down. That's 1, 2. Then it goes up, then it goes down. You know, what happens if this meme coin associated with this controversial individual starts a movement of people voting through crypto? They vote through crypto. They send a message through crypto. Politicians, religious figures, right? What happens? Like, what happens if, like, one guy on YouTube who found this at 3 cents, he's talking about this being $1 billion coin. Raven coin is something I used to like a long time ago for tokenized assets, just to be a random altcoin, right? 0.02 cents, 2 cents for an altcoin that may be able to tokenize assets. And of course, on the subject of tokenized assets, Emerging Asset Group, after a year, has figured out the water token. You will be able to use this token to soon buy water rights through an NFT. So the token to water rights, and all of a sudden, water trading is on the blockchain. And it took a year and much building and much suffering to get to this point. But everyone's like, oh, wow, I want to buy the new unknown thing. Well, the people who had the new unknown thing, they sat around with it for a long time. And then, you know, a lot of stuff just 10x, like helium, just exploded. Okay. Blue Arctic has 558 followers. Water facilities in Greenland, water rights in Greenland, and a facility in Florida. Everybody wants to know what the next big trade is. You know what the next big trade is? The thing no one thinks is interesting now. Guy from Multicoin has a little saying. I liked it. I don't know if it's his, but he says, first slowly, then quickly. And that is the market update. Okay. All right. All right. Somebody's saying, right, Robert's watching the guy that got him into that one coin. Okay. Okay. Mr. Moot joined Patreon. 01.eth. Brian, G1Z, Zoltan. All right. We appreciate you. Okay. Eric says, I watched that. Web3 is on. GF, welcome. Welcome. Okay, now let's see what we can do for live TA to spicing it up. Okay, Reggie Classic likes the show. Ventura joined. Welcome. Welcome. Okay. All right, let's go to some DeMarc work. See what the market's doing. So again, this is December 18th, 9 p.m. Eastern. ETH up 1%, Solana up 2%. Uh-oh. ICP up 10% from the close, what, an hour ago? Bonk up 10%. Oh, man. God candle, people. God candle. God candles. God candles. Okay. Kathy Woods is buying bonk. Wallace here from Brooklyn. Welcome. Okay. Here's a good one. Came up with some killer stuff in the Patreon for this, but I know there's a lot of people involved in render. Okay. Now, again, some of this textbook DeMarc stuff, right? The first part of a move, 1 through 9. Okay. There's a DeMarc level here. Probably should be below that. Not going to give you the whole DeMarc lecture, but look what they did when they tried to take it below this line. They're like, oh, we're going to sell it. And they're like, oh, you know what? We better buy it now. We better buy it now. Next time you're driving by a skyscraper, look up at the skyscraper and imagine a bunch of guys in a room going, okay, what are we going to do about fill in the blank? Oh, render. Look, you get a 9 top, you get the, you get the counter trend move, and then boom, 13 more up bars. Same thing over here. I forgot to finish it, right? 1 through 9, counter trend move. That's how the theory works. And then you resume. How about 13 up days in render? Or let's just do it all in 3 days. Like, why not? Like, why not? Somebody's mentioning STX. Like, no sign of a top on the daily chart whatsoever. Like, none. Get the weekly chart up here. Got this really odd bug. Okay. So here's STX. Stocks. Coinbase. Okay. So let's put my pencil where my mouth is, right? So it's currently at 1.28. It's taking out last year's high as we speak, or is about to. The 2022 high uptick in April is $1.57, and the Coinbase high anyway is $2. And again, here's some classic DeMarc work, 1 through 9, right? You get your little pause in here, you get your dips, see these wicks, get people out, boom, everyone takes profits, everyone sells, boom, right? People take profits, people sell, and who are they selling to? Druckenmiller. That's who they're selling to, right? Or, the crypto version of Stan Druckenmiller mixed with a little bit of Jordan Peterson, that would be me telling you the opposite of what everyone else is telling you. That it's okay to be bullish, but you got to be bullish and positioned correctly. Because this coin tried to shake you out once, twice, 3 times, 4 times before you got the green candle. Like, what if the whole market looks like this? What if something like this appears in, I don't know, Solana, Avalanche, oh, Kim, Rune. Oh my God. the box of chocolates under the bed that I'm smart enough. I was smart enough. I wasn't smart enough to continue to talk about it, but I was smart enough not to give up on it. Okay. So sometimes with 9 bottoms, like they can help you find a bottom, like in a range. So looks like we have a 9 bottom in Rune. So it's gone sideways. It obviously it went from, 50 cents to $5, right? And now it's got a 9 bottom at the bottom end of a range. Oh, look, I can just get a pencil and draw a line. There you go. Advanced technical analysis. 9 bottom on support, cross chain narrative. Let's see. Let's have a laugh. So this has gone up so much, I can't possibly touch it. Oh, wait. The all-time high was 20. Where is the cross-chain narrative more real? In other words, Rune allows you to go from ETH to Bitcoin to Solana, DeFi trading, etc. And there's supposedly hotter versions of this stuff out there on like the Thor wallet on the Uniswap of the Rune universe. This is only the beginning. Rune is supposedly the boomer coin of its cross-chain universe, if you can believe that. The high's 20. Okay, prior to Celsius, look at this. They were buying it with reckless abandon. Don't worry, everything's going to be all right. At 13, I'm not getting out. Right? It's called Carry Me Out. Dog BB joined. Okay, listen. To everyone who's ever watched the show, to everybody from Emerging Asset Group, to everybody in the Patreon, I want to wish you a happy holidays. I want to wish you a good I want to give you groupings of coins and portfolio ideas. I want you to allow me to be your personal guide for the next cycle, for the cost of lunch at Starbucks. I'm your host, Bill Noble. I will see you next time.